For a child has been born to us, a son is given to us. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior. There's a lot of interesting things happen at Christmas, even some bizarre events. Here's a headline from the Chicago Tribune a couple of years back. 32 baby Jesus found in a yard. Let me just read you part of the article. Someone took 32 baby Jesus from their mangers in creche scenes all over Chicago, deposited them, all 32, in the yard of one woman. She was freaked out by it. She panicked. She didn't know what to do. She took them all to her church and gave them to the priest, St. Cyprian. And anyway, she took them all to the church. Neighbors were allowed to reclaim them. Police said it was okay to return them to their owners. Police spokesperson Patrick Camden got off the best line of all, quote, "Baby Jesus belongs in a nativity scene, not in the evidence room at the police station." I can't argue with them on that. But here's the kicker. It went on. The next year, a new headline appeared in the Chicago Tribune over a picture of a very determined man holding in his arms a life-size plastic baby Jesus. The headline read, "In Daily Plaza, Jesus tucked in tightly." And the article said, after last year, the volunteer crew responsible for installing the creche took no chances. This year, Jesus is secured to the manger with a thick black cable around his waist, which is bolted to the manger floor, covered with hay. "There's no way you'll ever be able to get him out of the manger," the chair of the committee said. So there are some interesting things happen at Christmas, even some bizarre things. What an amazing time of year this whole season is. We begin to prepare for it weeks, even months in advance, and then finally it's here. And here we are. Are you here with family tonight? Maybe some old friends nearby you haven't seen for a while? Are you relieved you made it? I won't ask for a show of hands. Let me just say, the Lord grant you peace in your spirit this night. A few moments here of quiet and calm wisdom, maybe a touch of the holy for your Christmas celebration. Frederick Buechner, Presbyterian minister, says, "In some way, the whole world stops this evening to listen again to an old story everyone knows so well." I was driving over here this afternoon. CBC was interviewing a professor from the University of Winnipeg who's an expert and has written a book on the history of Christmas. And he said unequivocally, this is the largest celebration, religious celebration in the world, Christmas. Even other faiths, the world stops on Christmas Eve. Church members, non-members, believers, non-believers, the faithful, the skeptics, we stop on Christmas Eve and we listen again to the story. In a remote outpost of the ancient Roman Empire in Judea, the town of Nazareth, a man and a woman begin a long journey. She is heavily pregnant. They head south toward Bethlehem, his hometown, to be counted in a census. It's a hard journey. He walks. She rides their donkey mostly. They stop at the end of the first day at an inn or roadhouse where they find food and shelter. Finally, they arrive in Bethlehem, a small village. The only inn is already full. The innkeeper, perhaps seeing that this woman might deliver her child at any moment, offers the shelter of the stable out back. They make themselves as comfortable as they can, warmed by the heat of the sheep, goats, and cattle. That night her labor begins. and the baby comes. The man helps her. Together they wrap the infant boy in the bands of clean cloth they have brought along for this purpose. Swaddling will hold him straight and keep him warm. She nurses. They both hold him. Look at him in that wonder that a baby inspires in new parents. And when he sleeps and they finally, exhausted, become drowsy, they place him in a cow's feed box, a manger. The story, so simple. And what we believe about this story is that it contains truth, ultimate cosmic truth about God and about us. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. The world stops this evening, and when all is quiet, listens to a story about God and about love, a story that affects you and me and our living. The unique mystery of the birth of Jesus that really jolts us, even as it draws us in, is the reality of the vulnerability. God in a newborn baby. Nothing is so helpless, so dependent, so frail as a baby. It's difficult to be selfish or indifferent in the face of such precious fragility. And a baby does a lot of things. It affects us, our demeanor, our personalities. A child brings a dose of reality and humility to even the most self-confident adult. It's really hard to retain delusions of adult authority and influence when the wee one in the high chair across from you throws the cereal in your direction and then laughs at how funny you look when there's Cheerios in your hair. So the future belongs to that child, not me or you. It's God's good way. Satchmo knew it. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Something else. A child brings out the best in us, changes most of us for the better. Dr. Henry Betts of the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago recently told about a young man, a teenager, a paraplegic, who became terribly depressed, stopped communicating with anyone, was virtually speechless, wouldn't get out of bed, assumed the fetal position all day long, and went into what Dr. Betts called total withdrawal from life. Teenage boy. And then the staff put another patient in the same room with him, a toddler who had been severely burned. The teenager turned his back and ignored the little boy at first. And then he began to notice